Hello guys, my name's Mike and I've got a YouTube channel called Decrepit Lion Productions. This is a review of the Apple Watch Ultra, a long-term user's review which I've now had it for 18 months. I'll show you the setup I've got going. First of all, I've got the wind at the top, UV top right, the date, the weather, which is the least accurate app I think on at the moment. It seems so anyway on the watch and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's in the sort of centre position there. I've got the ongoing temperature, which at the moment in northern England, just south of Leeds, it's 18°C. The picture obscured by the hands there at the bottom centre, that's a direct phone contact to my wife. Bottom right, you can see the sunset times tonight, and parked car you can see there at the bottom. Now that parked car has been quite useful when I've parked it somewhere and then want to find it. However, in a car park, not as useful I must say as the AirTag. I've got an Apple AirTag in the car. On mine it's sort of behind the headrest. On my wife's car, she just keeps it in the glove compartment. I mean, the main thing, just to touch on the AirTag and the advantage over using this, is that with the AirTag, you can be on holiday somewhere, you know, a couple of thousand miles away, and you can check whether the car is still where you left it at the airport. It's also easier to find it than using this parked car app, although if you know, if hiking or something, you still have to have the phone in your pocket to get a sort of a contact through that for the parked car. So it's a bit of redundancy from my point of view. I'll just touch on the structure of the watch first before I go on to some of the detail. Now, it turns out this particular strap, and I've touched on these straps in an earlier review, this is the best type of strap in my opinion. And you can see this is the original strap, 18 months of use. And there, this little bit here, I've seen these damaged in the Apple Store, starting to fray there. And I was told in the Apple Store when I bought this watch not to pull it when you're taking it off your wrist, not to pull it all the way through. So I sort of stop it with my fingers there and then pull it through. This watch seems to be aimed at sport, you know, sort of activities, leisure activities, and there's some health features to it which you'll already know about, I'm sure. I think the most important thing with this watch is the battery life. It lasts a very long time. Now I put mine on charge. Typically I'm at home a lot in the afternoon, so 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon I put it on charge then every day, and it's only used about a third or a quarter of its battery capacity when I do that. My wife puts her phone on charge, and sometimes it goes 18 hours on charge. That might horrify you if you're into preserving batteries. So her Apple Watch, sometimes it's 12 hours overnight, 13, 14, sometimes 18 hours before she'll take it off the charger. So what does that mean, you know, in our experience? Well, the bottom line with that is that the battery is still showing 100% for capacity when you look at battery health on both of our original Apple Watch Ultras. So for us, it hasn't mattered about doing special things such as only charging to a certain percentage. How useful have I found this watch? I mean, you've got to bear in mind I'm 75 years old. It's only a year or two back I used to be really into the health app thing. I used to have it set so you jump up every hour off the sofa, run about a bit and sit back down. Also, I had all the health features turned on. Heart, just a little bit above average condition, etc, etc. You know, you'd run this blood oxygen test. Sometimes the blood oxygen shows worryingly low, but you feel all right, you know. So I mean, I think the newer Apple Watch Ultra, the second version of it, I think it seems as though the oxygen sensor has been disabled or something on that one. So in one sense, the original Apple Watch Ultra seems to be a better sort of buy from that point of view. I've turned all that off. And Apple does seem to me to have made this watch and featured the health and running and so on, as if you're going to do a triathlon or anything. And I saw I've only seen two other people wearing them apart from myself, and that was on a flight out to Italy a couple of weeks ago. As far as wearing it for a regular guy, you know, desk job, older guy or woman like me, and I'll just say at this point, you know, my wife's a Filipina with a very slim wrist. She wears it. This thing about wrist sizes, guys, if you can't think you can wear a watch like this, it's all subjective. It's all in the mind, actually, you know. I said to my wife, you know, just wear it on your wrist as though it's one of those great big old plastic G-Shocks, which we both used to wear, and it's fine with her. And if it's fine with her, because my hands are twice as big as hers, and wrists and so on, it's just a psychological thing, you know, that anyone can wear one of these, anyone at all, any wrist size, doesn't matter. It looks great on you, whatever you might think about that. But yeah, regarding features, this can you believe that this button on the side here, I can't find a use for it. There are so many uses that it could have, but none that would fit my sort of use case. Well, you're ashamed, don't you think, to have a button on the side of the watch that you can't sort of use. So how have I got this set up? I mean, as I say, I'm 75. You might have a relative, or you yourself might be my age. What's useful? Well, I think what is useful is having the crash detection on for a car, and that's useful at any age. I mean, there was a horrific case on the news in the UK a few months ago where a car full of young people had crashed during the night. It had gone into a bunch of trees right next to a roundabout on a busy main road, and people had been in that car, seemingly dying and suffering during the night. And I just wondered whether any of them had an Apple Watch Ultra with the crash detection mode on, or whether if they'd all had one on, whether that would have helped and even saved lives. So there is that. You never know whether another car could force you off a road into a ditch or something, and you know that this would then be hopefully triggered by the accident. I mean, you would have to have the iPhone in your pocket turned on as well, unless you've got it set up for a separate sort of eSIM, which is on my particular network. It's £5 a month extra, and I just think that's a waste of money, to be honest. I've also got fall detection turned on, just in case I go head first down the stairs. I found that a mixed use, really, because I used to wear this watch gardening, and it's triggered once or twice, you know, more than that. And I've heard the warning sounds coming from it, that it's going to dial emergency services, just because I might have, you know, given it a good hard knock in the garden or something. It seems to be quite a good sensor from that point of view, though. Although I did step over a stone pond and drop really hard onto one foot, and that, amazingly, that sort of triggered it. It wasn't actually a fall. So my answer to that is I don't wear the watch when I'm gardening. Basically, I just wear it as a regular watch. I like to sleep with a watch like this on. Sleep mode is on the watch, and it's set so that, for example, at 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. it will go into sleep mode, and it won't do much then. It won't sort of notify you of any incoming calls or anything. If you have it set that way, a little bit complicated, that. I don't like the menu system whereby you've got to almost seem to do some programming to set some of these features up with shortcuts. Not simple, Apple, at all, I don't think. So it is a really useful tool. I could live without it, having said that. I miss the old style watches. I miss the old big old G-Shocks, you know, and I've been looking at some of the advanced G-Shocks. They're a lovely watch, aren't they? However, it's so functional as this. And I use mine largely for paying for things. So I've got a couple of cards, you know, bank card, credit card on this, Apple Pay. Apple Pay, I think, is the absolutely ace feature of the iPhone and the Apple Watch. you can obviously use that and leave your iPhone in your pocket, and that your Apple Card then, your credit card or whatever, extends out onto your wrist. It extends out onto your wrist. So all you've got to do, going into Costa Coffee, for example, just click your watch. It's much easier and safer sometimes when you're out on the street if you're paying for something, just to use your watch, which is fastened to your wrist, of course. And again, fastened to your wrist with this band. There's no sort of delicate pins like on a regular watch there to pull out. That's really fastened in firmly. And the way this thing fastens on, there's no way that's coming off your wrist either. So that's the again, some of the benefits of this particular watch, in my opinion. So the durability of the thing, really. I mean, obviously you got a limited service life with something like this. I mean, I think this came in at about £850, something like that in the UK. And I anticipate to keep it probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, something like that. From what I'm seeing, the battery capacity remaining being at 100% still, it looks as though this can be kept for a few years, and I think it's worth the money, just for the crash detection, the ease of payment. I mean, I did look. You appreciate I've got an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I do keep looking at some of the Android phones, which I really like as well. However, when you look at the watches, the Galaxy Watch something, whatever it is, the latest one, I think it looks terrible compared with this from a style point of view. And I'm not really into form before function at all. I've mentioned that before. However, this does seem to be function, because there's a raised lip here, sapphire glass, allegedly, and here you've got a raised lip, and it's actually taken 1 or 2 good hard knocks. You can see good hard knock there. In fact, there's a chip out of the titanium. But who cares? These are sort of time limited things that live on your wrist for a few years and then they're gone. So I think well worth the money. But the main thing I wanted to mention was I was wrong about this particular strap in my initial review when I first bought the watch. These actual straps are superb. There is a sort of a counterfeit one, I think, where they're more stretched out here are these loops. And I saw one for sale in a second-hand phone shop where it was on sale, as a genuine band. Obviously it wasn't. And I should say I've turned all the health stuff off completely. I just mentioned that a minute or two ago, but it is turned off completely, all of it. Who wants to watch you decline? Who's 75 years old? It's not going to improve much, is it, all those metrics? So I just turned it all off, basically. So what I'm trying to say is I think it's really suitable if you've got a desk job or some sort of academic job, although be very careful with something like this. I used to work in a situation where you couldn't have a watch making a sound. And after one bad experience with a watch in the 1970s that sort of went off in a very unfortunate situation, for work, I swore I would never wear a watch that was even capable of making a sound again, never mind turning it off. So as long as you're not in that sort of situation, I would wear it. So that's it. That's long-term review, Apple Watch Ultra. Highly recommended, actually, for what it is. Just put a bit more function on this side button, Apple, and make it useful for someone who is not into sport and who has a desk job.